think fast. We should all be living our life, fearlessly, fully fearlessly. And reason why I'm bringing this up is because I had the thought popped into my mind about Tupac. And matter of fact, I'd heard Brother Panic. Shout out to the Brother Panic. Y'all definitely check him out. Check out his videos, occult lectures. Like he had brought up something about, I want to say, about the Illuminati, stuff of that nature. And like it brought me to a point of thinking about like, and I had this vibe before, but then it just really set in just now again, where it's like, when we go to looking at all these situations, I think about the Tupac one, because that one, you could really see that, all right, the government 9 times out of 10 really, really had to have, like, I would be surprised if you dig up through Tupac's killing and you find out that the government had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? That would be very surprising. But to the point now, with the point that the Virgin was making was Panic was making was about how, we all blame the Illuminati for everything. Like this food died, there's Illuminati, this happened, the Illuminati, this and that. And just about how, that power still gets externalized, like what's happening to you is not something that's manifesting because of what's going on inside of you, And I thought about the whole situation of like, where if a person transitions, at the end of the day, Source don't make no mistakes, So if Tupac or, whoever, I think of Gil Scott-Heron is another one, well, hold on, but I think of Gil Scott-Heron is another person who basically, transition, and you could be like, he was speaking out on a lot of things. Did he just really transition, or did they take him out type of vibe? But then you realize that, the only person that could take you out is you, It's your own fear. And that we should live life to the fullest in every moment. That's what it's really about, like living to the fullest. Of course, in any situation that needs to make us aware, just like, say, for instance, like we need to be aware that when you put your hand on the stove, it's hot and it'll burn you, and you could mess up your physical being, you know what I'm saying? So there's things that, of course, make us aware of itself that we should, caution ourselves to. But as far as being afraid of anything, like basically when I thought about it, I'm like, Tupac, in essence, was killed by the Source, like that's the whole thing, like, because I've come across a vibe on a few trips where it was like, again, where on a higher level, higher where most lower vibrations cannot, conceptualize the situation. Because too, I keep it real, because as I'm sharing this, I kind of got hit with the zipper a little bit. But I say this much, only so much knowledge should be shared in order to maintain a certain level of balance. When too much of a certain amount of information is given out in a time when it's not right for, then that situation get dealt with in the essence of like again, a Tupac in essence. Of course you could say that, yeah, it was possibly the government or whoever, did what they did. But at the end of the day, it was his own being, whatever, whether it be through a thought of feeling like, all right, yeah, something's gonna happen to me. You know what I'm saying? And again, to be allowed to have that thought is still with Source. Like if he was, or if anybody's allowed to just speak in general, if anybody is allowed to have that type of thought, that means, that high vibe, or should I say that vibe of feeling, protected, was taken away for a reason, So source, that source of energy kind of fell back, for a reason. Again, like no mistake. So when we look at a lot of these situations, because I know for sure I'm definitely the first one to be like, because same thing with Prince, Michael Jackson. Like, I know for a fact what time it is, but that doesn't mean we should go around blaming, certain people for these situations all the time, or especially when every situation pop up, because then it comes with, now we giving power to something that doesn't have as much power as a lot of us think, That's what I tell people. It's almost like like the slaves on the plantation to the the slave master slave ratio. Like, is a million of people who's, say for instance, it's like a million to one. I'm just using it as a big number, but on the scale of how many people, work for the government compared to how many people is, out and about and living free and not dealing with that. So to feel like somebody who doesn't outnumber you control you so much, it's like that's that pimp game, where, your mind, everything has just been placed to in a fear-mongering place where you just associate that situation with something you should be scared of or fearful of, But fell out of that train of thought a little bit. But just to kind of continue in that same light, just major point to leave from this video with, stop giving away your power. Stop being fearful of anything if you are everything. And if we're feeling like we're fearing anything, that's because we're not feeling everything. You're fearing, if you're fearing anything, it's because you're not feeling everything. You don't feel the presence of being all that is, so you're fearful. Because you don't feel, you don't feel the connection of that everything is me. So some of these things that's out here may not be me, and I'm fearful to interface with it because it's not a part of me. I'm unfamiliar with it. So that fear creates a certain reality for you in the physical. Your thoughts manifest. So, but again, just realize that for the better or the worse, you are your best friend and your worst enemy all at once. Again, showing you that all is inside of you. You could either be your friend or your own worst enemy. The example of being your own worst enemy, is again hindering yourself, knowing that you are all that is and knowing that everything is possible, but then feeling like, well, my business won't do good if I don't do this, that, or the other, or this won't manifest unless I do this, or is it? And of course, it takes some steps in order for some of these things, but for the most part, it's knowing that, you are capable of manifesting any and all things. So don't limit yourself with your own doubts and with your own fear. That's the main thing. Because I see it a lot where a lot of people, and even myself, for sure, first and foremost myself, and that's why I see it in other people, because I see it in myself, as far as like having that fear of growth in the money department, because you're fearful of that vibe that you were taught, like, oh, well, matter of fact, again, with the Illuminati and the government vibe, like, I don't want to be with those rich uppity people. I don't, that's a mind frame taught, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't want to be famous, because all the famous people getting killed by the Illuminati. Fear, like looking at something from afar and just placing a fear, false evidence appearing real. And to this point, even to the ones that may have been quote unquote put into transition by something outside of them, it still happened because of energies that was going on inside of them, or in a whole, like back to the stuff that I couldn't go deep into, but certain energies is in cahoot. Like when we think of the masculine, feminine, and we think of the polar opposites, and we feel like these energies are against each other. In essence, again, two sides to one coin. You know, it's a balance. So a person who may seem like they may be, you know, doing something for a righteous reason, may be put into transition, but that transition that they got put into had to be allowed by their higher self or by source, you know, which says that maybe parties outside the physical all agree that, you know, maybe it's not a good idea for evolution to have this person to continuously, you know, be present in the physical, you know, because it's gonna mess up the storyline or the way things is going, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, the only person that could transition you, or I don't even like using it, the only person, what some of you call killing or death, transitioning, but you could only be put into transition by your own will, by your own self, by what you allow, you know. Say for instance, your higher self telling you tap into your intuition more, tap into your intuition more. You ignore it, then you need your intuition to read a certain situation that was going to, you know, stop you from transitioning, you know. So here it is that you got the information you needed, but you ignored it. Therefore, you know, it is what it is. So just know that that's not one thing. If you're not creating it, the people around you creating it. But point blank period, the mind is all. And we want to stay away from fear on all levels. And if you feeling, as a matter of fact, that's another thing I want to, before I go on this note, if you feeling any type of fear on your spiritual growth, then know that, you know, you're not tapped in fully to your inner source, that it's something, some type of implant, some type of outside energy, you know, is kind of just, or some inner, you know, an inner demon that's keeping you down, you know. I think about the vibe of, like if you pledge to give up all your worldly situations, and now in this lifetime, that's still affecting you. You know, you gotta denounce that energy, you know. But, what else? Denouncing energy. Oh, speaking of certain demon, it'll come to me. Matter of fact, part of this is, you know, the Mercury retrograde energy I could kind of feel. But the show must go on. But I was speaking to, you know, just that agent inside yourself. Like if you feel yourself fearing anything, then that's the agent within yourself, or some type of implant that tapped into you and is trying to hinder you from growing to your fullest potential. If you have any type of fear, think about it. Like when I was drinking 40s all day, I feared a day where I would grow to a place where I didn't drink 40s anymore. You know, when I was loving to just stay lazy all the time and not do nothing, you know, that part of me feared, like looking at what I'm doing now. So say for instance, like being universal frequencies, like there's parts of my past me that feared being universal frequencies. You know, that feared being able to, you know, have a business by himself and have to manage things and be responsible. Like there's an old part of me that feared that, you know, at one time. So looking at yourself right now, if you're fearing something, it's just some part of your growth you're fearing. It's some type of, whether it's something inside of you or some type of energy that somebody pushed on you from outside of you that's hindering you. But the fear is not you know, it's not a part of your higher self. It's not your full being. You know, it's something that's hindering you from your fullest potential. You know, because there's a thin line between awareness and fear. You know, you got to keep making yourself aware of a certain situation, then basically you're fear mongering yourself. You just, matter of fact, just how the government works with euphemisms. Being aware could easily become a euphemism for fear. So keep that in mind. Like, even when I say it, that's why awareness. If I keep harping on something to be aware of, then it becomes fear. Not when I say aware, like when dealing in the context of being aware of certain negative things. You know what I'm saying? Like things that may hinder you. Like you want to be aware of it, just to that one point of being aware, but then you just don't harp on it. Because the moment your awareness becomes just gotta be daily aware. I gotta just be aware of, being bamboozled by a psychic attack. I just gotta be aware of, these government agents. I gotta be aware of. If you become aware of these government agents, aware of, negative people, aware of all these situations too much, then guess what? What you focus on grows. So what you call an awareness, because you don't want to use the word fear, because you're trying to trick yourself out of keeping it real about that you're fearing something, so you use the word awareness. It just gets to a point where continuously being aware of something turns into continuously being scared or fearful of something, and it becomes your focus. And as it becomes your focus, it manifests into the physical. So just keep that in mind. And I'm out on that. Peace. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Because another thing too is not caring, how unpopular, being fearless, or should I say courageous, and sharing information. Not caring about my little lapses where I kind of forget where I was, and like, oh man, like being fearful of, just go with the flow, be you, be fully, be present, and even if it seemed like I would disagree with whatever it is that say for instance a certain thought or feeling popped into your mind, certain idea, and if I agree, like say for instance if somebody who you hold in a pristine place as far as with spirituality or whatever, it's not about making it agreeable to nobody but yourself. Let's just put it like that. I wonder what so and so would think about this, or what, how would Bobby Hemmett feel, or how would this brethren feel, that brethren feel. It's like, no, it's how you feel, what operates, what's best for you, like your inner guidance. There's no wrong or right way to do this. Don't be be fearless. Be fearless. Be courageous. In fact, we don't want to use the word fear. Be courageous.